Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to an all-new Twin Peaks after show here at AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we're going to be breaking down Season 3, Part 12. Audrey Horne is back and I am so excited. We have a lot to talk about, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello again, you beautiful AfterBuzzers. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Twin Peaks after show here at AfterBuzz TV. I am your host, Sam Davidson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. I hope you enjoy this song, because I think it's hilarious. Lex, on to you.
I am. We could have opened with the chromatic song to close this episode, but in a world where we finally started to unpack the Blue Rose mythology a little bit more, this did seem only fitting. Hello, I am Lex Michael. That's who I am, and I am all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And I'm Michael Shirley. I'm super glad to be back with you guys, back from my vacation in Chicago, and I'm wearing my old alma mater t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
Super exciting to go back to Chicago. Shout out to all you Chicagoans out there watching.
Chicagoans! Hey, and shout out to all you Hoosiers out there. I'm from Indiana, next to Chicago. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Lisa Masonly, and you can find me everywhere at Lisa Masonly, and I am in the chat. Let's get talking.
Guys, this episode, for me, I think I wasn't ever going to give up. You know, I have to do this for the rest of the season. But if Audrey wasn't in this one, and I've said this for the past, 3 episodes, I'm like, I swear to God.
Class action lawsuit.
If Audrey's not in this
False
episode,
advertising.
and they put her
Just
on,
collective trauma.
the cover of Entertainment Weekly with the whole Twin Peaks thing, and they featured her. If she's not in this, I was going to be pissed. So essentially, we are at 12 now. So
It was time.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were holding out on us. They knew that we wanted to see her.
I will say right up top, and I wanted to get everyone's take on this before we delve into the specifics of the episode. So, real quick, how did you guys feel about this part 12 overall? Because I thought, in a weirdly meta way, this might be the funniest episode we've had to date. And by that I mean, I don't know if you guys were following the social media conversation about part 12 before it aired, but people seem to be hyping it more so even than they were hyping part 8 before it aired. Now, maybe they were just referring to some of the details we got about Blue Rose, the return finally of Audrey Horne, but given how heavily it was hyped, this episode feels to me very much like a massive intentional troll job on the part of David Lynch. in a way that I genuinely enjoyed, because it really did feel so very intentional to me. But I wanted to get your guys' take on that and the pacing of this episode and how information was doled out a little bit, right off the bat before we jumped in.
So I'll just say I'm an easy target, and I look at everyone. I was like, aliens, aliens, aliens. Why is everyone acting so crazy? Aliens. And I think I'm probably about half right.
Oh, I think you're definitely probably more than half right.
But, okay, my interpretation on the aliens, who are aliens and how they are jumping into these bodies, body jumping is what I'm skipping ahead, but what do you guys think?
I've been trying not to pay much attention to social media because as you guys know, I like watching the show right before I come in here.
Yeah.
So it's just all super fresh. And I don't know, I thought Audrey would have to come back this episode, especially with all the things that happened.
Were you going to throw a bitch fit too? If you didn't?
We literally held each other for 30 seconds.
And I also will say, I made a noise I don't think I've ever made in my life.
You were looking down at your computer and I was like, Audrey.
And you were like, hello, and I was like,
oh, was that it? I was going to say, could you describe the noise to me, but you actually just replicated it.
Yep, and I held him during it, and I was like,
I legit stood straight up from where I was. I was sitting on the edge of my couch already, and I legit stood straight up into the air. But I love how disinterested David Lynch seems to be with fan service, because we've been waiting, like everyone has, all season for Audrey Horne to finally appear, and it's been built up and built up and built up, and we just casually cut to her, and there she is.
I felt relief from Audrey, but what I really felt relief from was when they discussed more in depth about Blue Rose.
Yeah, I could
right
see,
off the top,
I felt like Lex
yes,
was gonna be
all the literal conversation about it and the invite and Albert
right
talking,
up top.
Yeah, I was just, it really got me
hence
fired up.
our opening song, and also hence our first scene we're going to talk about, which is the Tammy, Gordon, Albert, Diane of it all. So there is so much in this scene. I wish I could have watched it
This is a
10
big,
million
big
times.
scene.
I watched this scene twice to make sure that I got all of the information. And of course, we reference Project Blue Book, which we talk about pretty extensively in the book Secret History of Twin Peaks. And we tie it into where the Blue Rose program came from. We got a vague origin of the term, not specific. We don't know who said it in what case, but it's something that a woman said in one of the cases that got that designation. And then we finally got a reference to Chet Desmond.
A full list of personnel.
Yeah, so Philip Jeffries again, we name check, and then we didn't reference Wyndham Earle, which I thought was interesting, but we referenced, of course, Dale Cooper again and Chet Desmond. And Albert has a moment where he makes a point of saying to Tammy, you notice I'm the only one of these people who hasn't disappeared mysteriously. And in the same episode where I know it was maybe Gordon responding to Albert not even cracking a smile at any of his jokes, but in the same episode, Gordon places his hand on Albert's shoulder and says, you know, Albert, sometimes I worry about you. In the same episode where Albert points out he's the only one not to mysteriously vanish, I will admit it made me ever so slightly nervous for Albert's well-being.
Oh, 100%. In that scene...
You looked at me and you said one of them are gonna die.
Yeah, that is what I said.
Wow.
I think it's Albert because Tammy's so new, you know, and
But,
she's
okay,
written so much in
I
the
was
secret history of Twin Peaks.
very suspicious of Tammy a couple episodes ago.
Yeah,
What
same.
kind of suspicious?
I don't know. I didn't
trust
trust
her.
her. I
Yeah.
did not trust her.
Really? They said they were watching her since she was in college and in Quantico and everything.
She was just so needy about having to be in the boys' club. I felt
There
like
are
I was
so
like,
many-
But I feel like they drug her into the boys' club.
They dragged her?
Dra-
well,
dra-
oh,
I meant
okay.
dragged.
Oh my god, maybe that was a Freudian slip. They drugged her into the boys' club.
Well, I don't know. She has just a totally different personality than Diane, where she can like totally hold her own with everyone.
She sure can. She's smart. I
She-
mean, Diane is too, but
Diana is just over it. She goes, my
she is.
entire life has been completely messed up by whatever this is, and she's angry, and she wants to find the truth.
I wonder if Diane used to be like Tammy a little bit. Because I was
Probably.
saying, I just had this weird
little,
feeling
yeah,
about
probably.
Diane. Like, what was she like before all these events happened to her, you know?
I feel like similar, but
You
probably
do?
a little less jaded.
Probably less mad, less profanity. I would say didn't want to like immediately cuss out everybody for everything. But again, it's like we still don't know what happened, and I'm still not totally convinced that what we're seeing is exactly what we think we're seeing. Yes, it is entirely possible that Diane is as dirty as she seems, and I feel
It
like
could be a red herring.
I don't think
feel like-
she's
Yeah.
dirty at all.
right there could be.
I don't know.
Don't you think there was a part of my brain tonight and we're gonna, I guess, skip around in this moment just a little bit, where later when Albert comes to Gordon and says, you know, we intercepted more of these texts. Isn't it conceivable that Diane has worked with and known these men long enough that she might figure they could track these texts somehow?
Right.
Now, it's entirely possible that she's like a quintuple agent, and she's...
I was thinking that like she could be like a spying for
it's like-
them in this weird way.
Right,
Yeah.
maybe she's selling them out, but maybe she's texting with Mr. C because she knows they can track it. Maybe she knows they can track it, so they're texting in code, and who knows where Diane's true allegiances
They're
lay.
texting in
Right,
code. Who
right.
knows? It rhymes. I mean, honestly.
It's a slang rhyme. But okay, so Diane, right?
Yes.
Diane is on her way, and we see that in the room that they're occupying, we have those red curtains.
Yes, we see that. Again, I have this crazy theory, and I know a bunch of you guys are...
What is it? Aliens?
Okay.
Alien.
But what we were talking about just before we jumped on
he
mic.
won't even let me talk about aliens. They're like, shut up about the
It's
aliens.
okay.
No, but I'm with you. I'm with you on the
I
aliens.
believe.
Even if we don't see a mothership descend over the town of Twin
Yeah.
Peaks, we've been nodding towards aliens of some kind since the first Red Room sequence. If you go back and watch it, if you look at the curtain behind Cooper and the arm, there is a little, what looks like a triangular looking saucer type thing in shadow, in silhouette, that floats behind them.
And with the map that Hawk was looking at, and he's
Yes.
like, "What's that?" And he's like, "You don't want to know what that is." I really liked that part, and that was clearly like supposed to be like an alien
The
spaceship.
little
Right.
space invader
Yeah.
guy.
And it could be aliens in like the X-Files, little green or gray men sense, or it could be aliens in the sense of just alien to this plane of existence.
right, could be on another
Well,
frequency.
on that note, though, let's get into Sarah Palmer. because I think that.
Damn.
Okay, here's my theory: is that certain people are being like aliens are getting in their bodies, and okay, what you think Sarah Palmer was just acting completely normal?
She has been losing her mind since Laura died, and I think this just shows what 25 years can do to somebody.
And living with being married to Bob in a sense.
And 25 years plus of incredible trauma, but also we see how heavily she's probably drinking. Like we know now. 2 parts Bloody Mary mix,
3 parts,
3 parts vodka. Obviously, that's taken its toll, but we also know from the original show that Sarah is a seer, and Sarah is very much connected to whatever it is these spirits are doing, for better or worse. I think it's very telling when she has this moment where she stares into the turkey jerky. We hear the same bit of score that has the electrical interference sound in it from Fire Walk With Me that we did hear earlier in the episode when we get the line "Let's Rock" from Diane. We hear that Fire Walk With Me electrical interference score as well. So I felt like that was meant to indicate that she's having maybe she's just losing her mind and she's really into the turkey jerky, but I feel like she was having some type of for all we know, maybe turkey jerky has a similar symbol,
corn.
Right, like a similar symbolic significance to corn, and we just don't know what it is yet.
How they went into that, for any of the people that really weren't quite sure what was up with all the corn, but they fully fleshed that out for everybody.
And I love too this girl who's at the cashier when Sarah finally starts, and it seems like she's being overcome with something, but is able to, if only by talking to herself in the third person, is able to talk herself down and get herself out to the car. And I love this girl going, what?
I don't think it's her talking to herself in the third person.
It could be
it is.
You think she's talking to aliens?
But, no, okay. I know it sounds crazy, and I'm not even going to look at the comments for this week because they're going to go wild. Like, this girl's the biggest moron I've ever seen in my life.
I love you.
But,
we think you're swell.
Oh, that's nice, Lex. But really, though, did you not feel as though she was being taken over? The moment I thought she was being taken over by somebody else was when Hawk came to her house.
I thought she was back to herself, is how I felt.
But
it was coming out.
Something's going on in her house.
Think she's
in the kitchen.
Right, specifically in the kitchen. And I
wondered what that was.
Well, I'd love, too, that whole sequence where Hawk comes to visit her, because as we pull up to the house, we get that shot before we even see the interior shot of the fan. We get the exterior of the fan through the window, almost like it's a spectral figure peering out of the house. Because we know when we cut to the ceiling fan in the Palmer house in Twin Peaks, it means bad news. I love that it seems a little bit like it's peeking out of the house at Hawk as he's approaching. But yeah, something's up. Something's up in the house.
Yeah, that was not Sarah. Sarah, like, she was literally muttering. She's like, no, I'm fine.
Oh, see, I feel like it was Sarah, if only because Hawk was trying to play very, very nice, very friendly, very we don't want to confront it immediately. And he says, I saw some old cases and it made me think of you. And Sarah's immediately like, cut the shit. I know why you're here. That felt very much like Sarah to me.
She's in and out of reality, kind of.
And lifelong alcoholics are kind of like that, right?
I feel like on a
too.
non-demonic day, I feel like Sarah is probably a little touch and go after so many years of incredible trauma and tragedy and drinking.
You guys, not this. There's a reason that she went to all of this, and it's because she went crazy in the first place. Because she was married to Bob the devil, and then he went into her daughter. And of course, that will drive anybody to alcoholism.
Oh,
we're like,
but I'm sorry. Did you guys see Fire Walk With Me? He actually did.
He did, and it's true. You're not wrong. But I do agree. I think more in the scene in the store than the scene at the house. She absolutely is being acted upon by some type of external force. Which again,
I think she feels what's going on around her. I don't know that they could control her though.
I don't know about control, but we saw the final episode of season 2. Where Jacoby brings her into the Double R to meet with Major Briggs because somehow the lodge is communicating through her, and that's how Briggs finds out that Cooper is in the lodge. Of course, as we now know, died before he could make any use of that information, apparently. But we know that she's a vessel of sorts, or potentially a vessel.
Is it like in their blood?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Certain characters in town, right? We know that certain characters are more in tune with it.
Go back to when that about 4 or 5 episodes when what did we call it, like the fly frog weird thing?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it could be something in their family. Who knows?
It's a really bad disease. And
Seems very unpleasant.
I hope no one ever gets it. Okay, next, I definitely want to talk about Carl for a moment. It was a very brief scene, but
was
I
wonderful.
feel as though it was important. And also, he seems like the best dude ever. So this guy, I think it's Driscoll was his name. And am I wrong?
I
The
actually
man who
didn't.
needed some help.
I needed to.
Yeah.
I checked the credits for a couple of character names, and I completely spaced on checking for his specific character name.
Yeah, so, he's been doing a lot of work at the trailer park and deserves a lot. And he, I think, has witnessed something in some way. I feel as though he is also influenced.
That could be, and it could also be he's just an really odd, nice man. But what really struck me in this scene was once again this big display of heart and humanity from Carl. And we got a moment, and I really started to notice for the first time, I feel like parts of what we're seeing this season are a bit of Lynch Frost commentary on the state of our nation and our world as it currently exists.
Really?
Whether it's Carl telling, let's call him Driscoll, until we actually figure out whether or not that's his name.
I'm kind of close.
Whether he's saying explicitly, I don't feel like anyone should have to sell their blood to eat. Or whether, yes, even though Dr. Amp, as he now calls himself, yes, he's very angrily, effusively railing against the powers that be, but for things where if you're listening to what he's saying, yes, it's a little bit like just walk it back a little bit, take some deep breaths, Dr. Amp. But I wonder how much of that is Lynch and Frost angrily speaking through that character. Then something else I noticed tonight was when Hutch and Chantal whack Warden Murphy, and his son immediately comes out and sees his dad shot dead on their porch. Started to think back over this season how many times that we've watched children either witness truly awful, vile, dark things or be a direct victim. And I wonder how much of that, coupled with some of these other things I'm starting to notice, is commentary in itself about how long can innocence be preserved in a world this dark and cruel and twisted at times.
You're getting deep,
That's
Lex.
deep, Lex.
But
I like
wonder.
it.
I really started to notice it. Tonight because there were a couple of scenes right in a row where I felt like we were starting to hit some of these ideas. Now I'm sure if I asked David Lynch, his answer would be some version of, "Well, if you see that, that's very nice for you."
No, I think he would say, "Do you want to make a table?"
It's like,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
do you
yeah.
want to make a table with me?
I guess the person to ask is Mark Frost because he seems to give out tidbits on Twitter.
His tidbits are always though like, "We'll tell you eventually," and who knows if that's actually true.
But
What?
I guess somebody tweeted him about Carl being a bookhouse boy, and Mark replied,
He was like one of the originals, yeah.
So that was kind
Well,
of
I
telling.
think they've been setting Carl up as kind of this messiah figure. Like when he sees the
He's
boy
the
get hit by
guy.
the car. He helped Shirley last episode when
No.
Becky flew her across a lawn.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, whoops, sorry, mom.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot about that.
They're building him up as this good guy for a reason. I think he's gonna come into play.
And I love that. I think that is part of, for me, what was missing from the original Twin Peaks until Fire Walk with Me, like
A nice
Is more
person.
Carl.
Yeah.
More Carl.
like a god figure.
More Harry Dean Stanton.
There's devil, whatever, aliens,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, but I need a very pure, someone that wants to do good and help everybody. And I don't think I ever got that until Fire Walk with Me, but I didn't realize it when I watched Fire Walk with Me.
Right, because you don't really get to know Carl very much. You see him, what you do see of Carl, he seems a little bit surly, but you do actually get that moment where you have that lady at the trailer park who's like, "Where's my hot water, Carl?" And I think the last time you see Carl is him walking off with this lady, presumably to help her. Which was nice. And yeah, as far as characters that are pure and well-intentioned, I feel like you get elements of it in the original show. I think you could
Sheriff
argue that
Truman,
Sheriff
yeah.
Truman and even
Dale,
Cooper until he
yeah.
disappears into the lodge. But most of the innocence that we see, I think, is there largely to be corrupted.
Yeah. Let's talk about this Ben Horne and Sheriff Truman scene.
This is the first scene where I was like, "Oh, he's trolling us. He's trolling us on
Lynch
purpose."
is trolling us.
I was
Which
like,
part?
Specifically, so we have this entire conversation where Sheriff Frank comes to tell Ben that it was Richard who mowed down the little boy. And they have this long conversation about his grandson, even going so far as to emphasize that Richard never had a father. And not once in this conversation do we even mention Audrey. And I feel like this scene goes on long, and we do get some really interesting stuff. We see, obviously, the key finally changes hands, and we see that plot thread connected. We see Ben showing some new shades, which I think reinforces what
Showing
I
his
started
old
to-
colors, I thought he was.
How do you mean?
I thought he was a little soft in the past couple episodes, but in this episode, he's like, "Oh, I can't even remember her name." Like,
that moment felt very, very authentic.
He seemed
but
very like his old self, which in the other episode, he wasn't sure if he wanted to like cheat on his like estranged wife with Beverly.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I was like, oh, he's grown soft with old age, and I'm like, no, that's the same Ben Horne that we knew.
But I feel like Ben from the original series would not have offered to pay all of the medical expenses.
I don't know. He seems like somebody that pays his problems away to me.
That's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. But his reaction, I don't know. His reaction felt genuine to me.
I think that Ben knew that Richard was going to do this. It's as though, he knew he was a bad kid, and
something was bound to happen because he said, every time it gets a little worse.
With
than the
with
next.
Harry,
Yes.
Harry apparently had some history with Richard.
And I'm happy that he paid for Miriam's
Whatever her
hospital
name
bills.
was.
Miriam.
But how
Miriam.
about this,
Her name is
this
Miriam.
green Schwinn bike that Ben's dad gave him, and he tells the story twice, and it's just, is that just to help like give the contrast to Richard Horne
I
and
think
his
so.
upbringing? It kind of makes you start feeling a little. It's like they want you to feel a little more deep about it.
But also, if Richard Horne didn't have who knows who his father was, whatever, but
When
he has his grandfather, who honestly is as old as my father, probably.
Well, let's step back a second. When they said, he grew up without a father, my first thought was, it's
Dale.
cool.
It's definitely Mr. C. Yeah, I think.
She didn't agree with me.
No.
What is your
okay.
opinion?
Okay.
How can you explain it away, an
Who's the
alien?
baby daddy?
Well,
The frog?
The giant. It's the giant.
Oh man.
Yeah,
they
it-
look a lot alike.
you guys, but the thing is
He
that
looks
I don't
kinda
think
like
Dale,
Coop.
his actual Dale, he did not impregnate Audrey.
No, definitely not Dale. No, I
No.
think
He'd
I
already
think
been
Dale's
taken
not
over.
rapey.
yeah, when Mr. C came out of the lodge, and
It
I
wouldn't
think,
have been rapey
Right.
for Audrey wanted Dale so hard.
however, if she's in a
Should've been
coma, doesn't
let it
matter how
happen,
much you want
Dale.
somebody when you're awake. If you're comatose, that's rape, y'all.
Oh no, I
We're not
agree.
laughing. We
But I also
I
think
think
that-
it is.
This
I
is
think it's
funny.
I
Ooh,
think
it's-
it's.
no, it's
getting
bleak.
hard.
him.
Yeah.
I
It's-
think it's him.
But I definitely,
I do.
I am very much of the opinion. I feel like we've gotten enough clues, whether it was the conversation that Dr. Hayward had via Skype with Sheriff Frank, where he
Speaking
mentioned.
of, did you guys see?
We didn't talk about this
what's
last
her
week.
name? Oh gosh.
Kirsten Hayward was
Yes.
the girl that
In the
Steven was with.
basement when the gun went off. Did
Yeah,
you guys
I-
notice that Alicia
okay,
Witt's
okay.
character?
Okay.
Donna's little sister who played
That
the
was
piano
last week.
in season
Yeah.
2. Yeah, and I did not even catch that last
So
week.
she's got to be coming in for something else too. And why does she live in that skeezy place?
Again, I wish we could
dad's a doctor.
watch the entirety of this season and then talk about it because I think we would we would understand things. There are so many random things that are like put in and out of the show. You know they're important, but you also don't know what the F it means.
Well, and some of this stuff, again, like this episode more than any episode I've seen so far, like anybody that has up until this point been frustrated with the pacing and how we're not doling out information as quickly as some people would like, and I completely get it. I try to abandon every bit of expectation I have and just go with what they give me. But tonight there were a couple of sequences where I sat there going, I think this is hilarious, and I bet this is deeply infuriating to some people. And one such sequence is shortly after the scenes that we're talking about, where Gordon Cole has a female visitor in his room.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Albert comes in to talk about Diane and the text. And Gordon asks her to wait downstairs at the bar. I'll call you at the bar. And this woman takes what feels like a full 5
Yeah.
minutes to exit the room.
I told Sam when she started getting ready, I said, this is going to take a while. And I literally went to the kitchen, got a Coke, came back, and sat down and watched her for like 2 more minutes.
And she just keeps finding new business to do. And I found it genuinely hysterical because it felt to me very much like that scene was there to frustrate the crap out of people who have been complaining about the pacing.
Well, it was just like with Candy, you know, in Las Vegas with The Fly. You know, it was kind of, it was that same feel to it, for sure.
People like me that like to read into things, might be a bit naive, shut up. Okay, so I think that David Lynch, if you're going to be in your own show, why not make yourself a very pivotal part that's going to mess things up? Because this, to me, was a tip-off that, Gordon knows more than he seems. And I know it's not the prostitute part, but it's just like he has a lot of hidden secrets.
Well, I think we're a little ahead. We need to go back to where Gordon Cole, he was talking more about the woodsman in the sky and stuff. I feel like when he almost got sucked into that whole wormhole-y thing, like, I feel like he's been acting different. Like,
he's always been weird.
I know he's always been off, but I feel like he's been super off since Albert pulled him out of that. What would you call it? Like a wormhole,
this vortex type thing.
Yeah. Have you not thought he's been a little more off?
What, that he got a hooker? Is that weird?
No, I didn't think she was a hooker.
Oh, no,
I think she was.
He said that
he met her in
was,
the bar downstairs.
She was there visiting somebody.
Yeah.
Who's a friend of her mother's.
Very
whose
sick.
Daughter had disappeared or something like that.
That's what every guy says that gets a hooker.
But that's how we get that.
Sorry,
But that's how we get that
wonderful.
wonderful. But no, we get that wonderful turnip joke, and the joke it's
hilarious.
I like
hilarious,
that too.
not even because the joke is that funny, but because we hold for a good, 4 or 5 seconds just going back and forth on David Lynch and Miguel Ferrer's just stone expressionless faces, and that makes the joke hysterical to me.
Well, you think he knows something more than he's saying? Do you not think that he might have gotten something out of that moment with those woodsmen for a second?
I think he's always been completely odd. And not the David Lynch type of odd, even though he actually is David Lynch.
Right. He's quirky.
But that he is maybe on top of this all and part of it. And this is the moment. And you know what, guys? I'm going to throw out some crazy theories because this is a crazy show.
No.
And it's that, possibly.
Did you hear that?
Lynch again, he just pops in. I think that, Gordon could have always known things.
I think Gordon definitely has more information about the mythology of Twin Peaks dating back a number of years than we've heard him talk about.
Philip Jeffries to be the head of the Blue Rose?
Yes, he appointed Philip Jeffries, and he was, according to the book Secret History of Twin Peaks, was involved in installing Doug Milford, who's the one who eventually appointed Major Briggs to that Blue Pine station. So Gordon knows a bit, but I assume by now most of what Gordon knew, he's shared elements of with Albert, if only because everything that we've established Gordon probably has a line on has directly come into play. Now, of course, Gordon's been heavily involved in this work for decades and decades. I'm sure there are volumes of things that he knows and has probably told nobody about. Is it for sinister purposes? Who knows, man? That would definitely be as upsetting as anything could be, right? And I am still waiting for the knife to get twisted. I've been waiting all season for something truly upsetting to happen to one of these characters or to be perpetrated by one of these characters upon other characters that we know and care about.
Well, there's conspiracy theories going around about so many things in the show, but there was talk about, I don't know if we talked about this, but Albert had possibly changed the numbers on the arm when he showed the picture to Diane. The coordinates.
Oh, the coordinates.
I doubt it because it goes straight to Twin Peaks, and that's where we're all going to.
I mean,
I doubt it.
Where we are
There
now.
was some weird theory out there.
Some random
I don't
thing
know.
I thought of. I was listening to the new Lana Del Rey album, and she was singing about a garland of roses, and then it made me think Garland Briggs Blue Rose.
Oh my god.
She
I know
should have
it-
been in the show. They
I
should have
know,
had
right?
her
She
perform.
should have been
What if
totally
she
at
does?
the Roadhouse.
Like one of the end sequences. we
Oh,
don't
I feel
know.
like we would know.
We
They
would've
gave the
heard.
full list. of
What
what
if-
they
should have put her
go
in.
What
at.
if she was playing the tree arm thing? And they're holding that credit, and afterwards
Right.
she can finally
would
talk
never
about how
know.
she wore. And they brought in Andy Serkis to help with the mocap, and she just put the dots on and stood very still and was like, "I sound like this."
I can't really see that, but maybe we'll hope.
I hope Lex just made you see it. I mean, he did it perfectly.
I did. Am I not the spitting image of Lana Del Rey? How
I could
dare
like
you?
hear the music and the tree guy dancing for sure.
Next,
This
you
show
guys,
gives me
we need
nightmares.
to get into the, Dr. Jacoby,
Yes.
and of course Audrey.
It's
Horne.
7 o'clock. Do you know where your freedom is?
The gold shovel
And
of
whenever
shit.
it is, digging yourself out of the shit, and Nadine
Yes.
still watching the show,
Yes.
be like, "It's working for me, Dr. Am."
Shovel yourself out of the shit
She
and
loves
into
it.
the truth.
And the shit is aliens.
We need to get a shovel on this show.
Sorry, I mean, I just can't not see it any other way, except that it's as though someone, aliens, let's say, are okay.
I can't wait till the
Guys.
comments
No, I
come
love
in.
it. I love it. Go.
All right, so they are inhabiting people step by step, person by person, and it's happening faster and faster. And it's like, how do you not get inhabited?
Like a
how do you
possession.
get out of this? And you shovel yourself out of this shit with this gold shovel, and you get aliens off of you.
I'm going to be totally honest. If they reveal in the last episode that you are
All you
dead
needed
on
was a gold
accurate,
shovel.
I'm going to sit and I'm going to go
probably.
oh, that's not even the weirdest thing they could have done. That's fine.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't.
I know Michael's looking at me being like, that's
You
the
almost look
dumbest thing
mad.
I've ever heard in my life.
You
But-
said that, not me.
Oh, shut up. But, and by the way, I love Michael. He's
Yes,
a great friend
we-
of mine.
we are
We're
good
very
friends.
close. So, all in good fun, guys.
Well, so Mark Flanagan in the chat points out
Yeah.
something that we skipped over, but I was just reminded of when you're like, well, how do you escape these inhabiting spirits? You make like Jerry Horne and you just book it as fast as you can away from the
I'm
woods.
not even paying attention to him at this point. Jerry
He's
Horne is
important,
just
though. Why is he, popping up randomly running away from
Well, I'll
things?
pay attention to him when he does something important.
But I love that so far, Jerry's big arc in Twin Peaks The Return is, I got really, really high in the woods and it's scary and I'm leaving the woods now.
Well, I was texting you guys after episode 10. I think that Jerry Horne's actually on Sparkle, which is the new drug.
Which
that's
maybe
in
is why he
Twin
heard
Peaks.
his foot talking to him.
Yeah, I think the new drug has something to do with White Lodge, Black Lodge, aliens, whatever you want to call it. I think the new drug might have something to do with infecting people or taking people over. I feel like, I don't know, the way that everyone on that drug is acting. Look at Amanda Seyfried's character. She was acting what seems to be a little out of character.
But how
you
are we
know?
going to tie this back to Laurel Palmer? Because we are. I mean,
Maybe it's aliens and drugs. Or wait, maybe the aliens brought the drugs.
It's like,
It
hey
could be
guys, want
alien.
some
It could be
drugs?
alien drugs.
No,
Sparkle.
Red. And Red, hey, Red could be the head alien bringing the drugs to town.
And the only way to kill Red is with a golden shovel.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we figured it out.
We just
Or
cracked it.
Silent
You guys
Drape
don't even have
Runner.
to watch
Have
the
a
rest
great
of the
night.
season. We're done. We're packing it in.
I will just say, it's like David Lynch has driven us all insane. Pretty much. We're just going for anything that we can.
But what I
grasp
think
onto.
too, I think in hindsight, when we get to the end of this season and we're able to watch the entire
We'll
thing
appreciate
back
all of this,
over,
for
I
sure.
and I really think too, absolutely, because we're gonna know what exactly is being referred to in moments where we have no clue of the significance. But also, I feel like we're gonna see in hindsight so much of what's there. It really is meant to be taken at face value. I feel like every moment that something is clearly up, I feel like they're letting us know pretty clearly that something is up, and I feel like the moments where that isn't the case, I feel like maybe not necessarily, but we don't know why anything is happening. So it really does increasingly seem like every moment is packed with many, many layers of significance that may not even be there. Who knows why we keep cutting to two or three random people sitting in a booth at the Roadhouse that seem to have no connection to anybody else. Maybe that will pay off in some profound way.
Oh, it
And
will.
maybe
I
not.
have a theory. But before we get to that, though,
Whoa.
Yes, let's not
Of
skip
course.
all the way to the end.
Audrey.
The main
okay?
event.
Yes.
Audrey
I wrote
is
it
back.
really big. Audrey.
her husband is,
like
not
a
who
thumb
we
in a
expected.
chair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Essentially, yeah.
Although I
He
really
didn't have any shoulders.
I loved this performance though, and I wish I needed to go back. This is another. The character's name was Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
Charlie.
And I want to go back into the credits. Of course, I'm going to watch this episode again, and I want to find this actor's name because I really enjoyed his work in this scene. This was another scene. This scene went on for the better part of
Like
10 minutes.
Yeah.
And this was another scene where I felt like he must be doing this on purpose to troll people to some extent.
No, I think it means something.
Oh, it's definitely connected. She referenced Billy.
A bunch of people we don't even know
Billy
who they
and
are.
Chuck.
But we know that there is a Billy of some significance in this story somewhere. If you go back to, I want to say it's part 7, where at the very end we cut to the double R and somebody runs in and asks if anyone's seen Billy.
Okay.
So we've got an
that's
audience.
But we don't know any of these people. If we have met them,
And
we
people,
don't know
I
it.
saw a couple of people, like right after the show, I jumped on just to check out like what some of the conversation was, and a couple of people were pointing out they think Billy is the guy who got his truck stolen by Richard, who Andy
We already
went
know
to
that,
talk
don't we?
to, and then vanished. So we know that Billy will presumably, Audrey looking for Billy, will bring her into the rest of this story. And I think it's hilarious after last episode when we were all so positive it would be the attack that Richard perpetrated against her mother and Johnny that might bring her back into the fold. It seems like she doesn't even know that Richard has done anything that
No,
we've
not
seen.
really.
Right.
That he's involved at all.
Go ahead, Michael.
I think it seems like they're probably estranged, her and her son Richard.
I wouldn't ever. As much as I'm sure I will love my future children, if they are Richard, then I would just send him to a mental hospital.
And we're assuming
Straight
also
away.
that this is a child who's a product of rape, so we don't really know how Audrey.
Raped by a literal demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't
Demon
know.
rape, it's cool.
Well, probably
also
Audrey
would be-
wouldn't know that, but
But it
she
would be a demon she's obsessed with. I mean, Dale. Like, Dale. She loved
I don't know.
Dale. I know she was in a coma and all of that when it
Why
may or may
wasn't
not have
Richard
happened.
going to her for help instead of the grandparents? It seems like she's totally cut him out of her life.
And this relationship with Charlie, her new husband, who she's trying to divorce, and what
She
did
reigned
say?
him, didn't
She was
Poor
like,
guy.
I am screwing.
Billy, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
she-
she's
She's
screwing
effing
Billy.
Billy.
So we're assuming he's like a grown up.
And Tina's a bitch. We know that much.
Yeah, we know Tina's a bitch.
She
What is
hates
going on
Tina.
with Tina?
Chuck was probably the last person to see him.
Right.
Yep.
And then she wanted Charlie to call up Tina, and then they had the phone
But
call.
didn't he say, I gotta go back and watch this scene again, because didn't Charlie say that Chuck stole Billy's truck?
Isn't Chuck the same name? Charlie is Chuck.
But it's a different guy. I gotta go back and watch this
that
scene
was
again.
a really
not
confusing
fair.
scene, but
That's
one-
confusing, David.
One thing I really liked about it was that we see kind of how Audrey has come, because she used to be such a, come hither, like teasing, trolling, and now she is very to the point.
She's like, "Fight me,
yeah,
bro."
she is totally fierce. Like, she's lost all of that like childlike innocence.
She can swear up a storm
Yeah,
now.
she is tough.
I love it. Let's talk briefly. We touched on it with Diane at the bar and the coordinates.
I liked her.
To Twin Peaks.
I liked her memory device, where it really seems like she remembered the numbers in groupings based on how many syllables are in coordinates.
I don't know why she didn't just take a picture of the coordinates instead of memorizing it.
Aliens.
Maybe it's because she knows that the FBI keeps looking at her phone when she goes to the bathroom and have a cigarette.
Well,
I
not
don't
even
know.
that. To be fair, though, in the moment, how do you go, I'm going to get my phone out, take a little picture of this, without Albert or Gordon going, Diane, well, why are you doing that?
I don't know. It seemed like I feel like Diane's kind of like, I don't want to say a spy, but tough enough to do what she wants.
Sure, but that's
don't
why
know.
I love that she didn't need to be that overt about
yeah,
it. She could just
maybe.
just quietly commit it to memory, which I thought was really cool. And it speaks to your point. Like, Diane can
Maybe
can
she
handle,
has like a photographic memory in
yeah,
some like
she
slight
can
way.
handle some,
Yeah.
some
I've
stuff.
never really wanted
Atomic Blonde.
a tattoo before, but now.
You want Diane's face on your arm?
You want the
I
coordinates.
want the coordinates of Twin Peaks, like on my butt, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be
So
good
everyone
advice, you know?
can find it.
No, wait, it'd be here.
So everybody,
According to me here.
on my
Oh, I get it. Wow, Lisa, you're rocking it today.
Well,
Let's rock.
lastly, you guys, we have the Bang Bang. We like touched on it earlier. There are these. I'm not gonna.
I called them randoms.
Random girls. They're
Rando.
beautiful women, and they are there, and they are always like, I don't know. They are into what is happening, and it's something that we don't understand.
But they kind of seem like they want to stay out of it a little bit too.
But sometimes it seems like they know when they are in it, as though like Sarah Palmer was, like, you know, just like very.
Like a suspect?
Yeah, no, not like a suspect.
Associate.
Like a seer?
No, like they are hypnotized or something.
I definitely
girls.
saw that in Sky Ferreira's character for sure a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they keep talking about this girl, how she'd be so jealous if her boyfriend found out or whatever. And I'm assuming that's the girl that they're talking about, but I don't know because they said that she's been like missing, like out on, like not showing up to things, and that girl looked like she kind of went where the wind took her. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this ties into anything else we're seeing.
No.
Although this character Trick is apparently very lucky to be alive after almost being run off the road by somebody, and I have a feeling that might come back somehow. But I could
I
not.
wonder who might have done that.
Yeah, no, I couple potential guesses, but I'm not
Yeah.
even going to try and throw one out off the top of my head. But another thought that I had listening to these two girls have this conversation, and by the way, the Latina is an actress named Ana de la Reguera, I believe. I was like, where do I know her from? It was driving me nuts, and I looked it up. Nacho Libre. She's Sister Encarnacion in Nacho
I've
Libre.
not seen that.
But they were talking about all these relationships. Like, oh, she's going to be so mad when she finds out he's being unfaithful. I hope he doesn't mess this up, whatever. I thought about Invitation to Love. And I thought about how we haven't gotten... I don't assume we're going to see more Invitation to Love in this incarnation
Maybe
of the
like
show.
a DVD box set
But
laying
I
around
love-
somewhere.
But I really love that in this world where we're not cutting to an in-universe soap opera, we do have our own version. Like, these girls, clearly their stories, as it were, is just talking about the interpersonal drama in their own lives. Now, maybe that was part of the intention. Probably not, but that was a thought that I had at one point.
Well, on that note, guys, let's get into some predictions for next week.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Who wants to start? Michael, I feel like you have a lot of opinions. Oh, can we take it? Can I hold it? Can we hold
you-
it?
Is the log
No,
resting?
you have to hold
Oh,
it,
I have to hold it. Okay.
and then we'll pass it around.
All right. I feel... Gosh, I have so many thoughts. I feel like... I feel like we might get to go to the drape shops. No, I'm just kidding.
We still have not seen...
I know, I really want to go in there. I don't know, I keep feeling like Amanda Seyfried's character, Becky, is going to end up kind of like Laura Palmer. But I don't know, I don't know. I'm not really solid on anything this week. Who's next?
Lisa.
Lisa.
Not
what do you got?
Lisa.
Lisa.
Okay.
For those
prediction-
listening, she rolls her eyes and just takes the log.
She's like,
Feel
I
me,
can't-
guys.
I
Come on.
can't with
We're
this.
all like, jeez. Well, I mean, this isn't really my prediction, but obviously Audrey said that she was going to the Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be exciting. That's all I got to say about that.
I hope she dances. like how she
everything is converging. We're seeing it happen. We're moving now into the final third, and I know that I believe starting next week the show is going to air an hour earlier.
Yes.
We'll see.
I hope that doesn't mean it's going to be less graphic.
Well, we'll see how things even ramp up or in what way. We're now far enough in, and the story's being told in such a way that I feel like if you hadn't jettisoned every last expectation you had, do so now, because I think what we're going to end up getting, I think, yes, it'll be fan servicey in ways that I'm certainly not expecting as of this moment, but I don't think it's going to be at all like anything that any of us could guess right now. We have not seen Big Ed yet. He is our last major cast member from the original show that we have not seen.
We know he's going to be there because we saw him in previews.
Yes, very much looking forward to seeing Big Ed, however he pops up. And here's my big definitive prediction. Next week we'll get more Dougie Jones than we got this week. We got so little we didn't even mention. We did not even mention the one very brief scene where we learned
with him
that Dougie Jones does not play catch, surprising absolutely nobody. But I predict, yes, we will probably return to Dougie Jones and hopefully the Mitchum brothers, who I quite enjoy, in a bigger way next week. But who knows, really?
It worried me that he didn't react to the ball. That's all I gotta say.
I think it would worry anybody. It's a ball, you know? Okay, so I think that the Laura Palmer of it all is going to come full circle. This is where it's going to start. It's all going to come back. You know, we saw Sarah Palmer and what's happening with her. I think that family, or what, it's that family, it's that house. I don't know what it is.
It's happening again.
But it is, and I agree.
In the kitchen, apparently.
No.
The Becky of it all, I think that Becky is the new Sarah Palmer. I've thought so since the second she was introduced. I mean, guys, have you ever seen Veronica Mars, Amanda Seyfried? Like, that Veronica Mars in itself, you really never saw it?
No,
that
it's
took
good.
so much from Twin Peaks, and Amanda Seyfried in that show essentially was the Laura Palmer of the first season, and it's really, really cool. So I would love to see that come to life again. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We love you guys, and we, hope you tell us your theories and everything. One more time, where we can find you on social media.
Everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee.
And you can find me at Michael X Shirley and at ilovemichaelshirley.com.
And I am all over social media at the Lex Michael. And also, I am doing a new podcast with Tari J. Miller, who you may know from shows here at AfterBuzz. It's called Missing Out, where we try and turn each other on to things that we've missed out on. We've got a new episode dropping this Tuesday where we talk about F. Gary Gray's motion picture Friday, which somehow I had never seen. Listen as Tari holds my hand as we walk up this mountain together. We hope you like it. We had a lot of fun making it. Check it out. Mwah.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, SamD43, Twitter and Instagram, SamDavidsonEntertainment.com, and of course, a lot of love to Rock Love Jewelry. Not even kidding, you guys. I wear this stuff every day. And if you guys want some free swag, rate and review us on iTunes. We're going to do a big giving at the end of the day, or at the end of the season.
On the 27th.
27th. We love you all, and we will see you next week.
Say
Bye.
nice things.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Let's rock!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.